Good morning, everybody. I have a special treat for everyone today. This episode of What's in the Box is going to take a look at the just released 35th scale hobby boss T-35 Russian heavy tank monstrosity. And this is a really cool kit. Everybody seems to like Hobby Boss. I haven't built one yet. Guido's a big fan of Hobby Boss. He thinks they're one of the best makers in the industry. There is a ton of freaking plastic in this box. It's impressive. So I don't really know anything about the T-35. I'm at a loss. I know quite a bit about World War II tanks, but this one I know zip, nada, zilch. So this information comes from Wikipedia. Just wanted to share some brief history. So the T-35 was a Soviet multi-turreted tank of the interwar period and early Second World War that saw limited production and service with the Red Army. It was the only 5-turreted tank in the world to reach production, but proved to be slow and mechanically unreliable. Most of the T-35 tanks still operational at the time of Operation Barbarossa were lost due to mechanical failure rather than enemy action. Outwardly, it was large, but internally the spaces were cramped with the fighting compartments separated from each other. Some of the turrets obscured the entrance hatches. Production history. The T-35 was developed by the OKMO Design Bureau of the Bolshevik Factory, which began work on a heavy tank in 1930. Two teams developed separate designs. The team headed by German engineer Grode worked on the 100-ton 4-turreted TG5 tank armed with a 107mm naval gun. Using pneumatic servo controls and pneumatic suspension, this project was later canceled. The concept of large, multi-turreted breakthrough tanks was favored by several European armies in the 1920s and 30s. Designs existed in Britain, France, and Germany for such vehicles. The second OKMO team, headed by N. Tsiets, you'll have to forgive me, my Russian's not very good, worked on a tank inspired by the British Vickers A1E1 Independent. By July 1932, a prototype of a 35-ton tank with a 76.2mm tank gun was completed. The first prototype was further enhanced with 4 smaller turrets, 2 with 37mm guns, which would be here, and there's one on the back. The first prototype had severe defects in its transmission and was considered too complex and expensive for mass production. Therefore, work on it was stopped and a new similar prototype was built. This new prototype received a new engine, new gearbox, and improved transmission. The decision was also made to standardize the turrets used on the T-35 with those employed on the T-28, a triple-turreted medium tank. The small machine gun turrets were identical on the two tanks. The large main turret housing the 76.2mm gun was nearly identical, but those used on the T-28 had additional rear-firing machine gun turret. On 11 August 1933, the T-35 was accepted for production. Engineering was shifted to the Kharkov locomotive factory and 2 batches of 10 vehicles were completed. The experiences gained with the 2 prototypes were used for the main production T-35 Model 1935, which was again improved from the second prototype with a longer chassis, improved hull, and 45mm guns in place of the 37s. It started production in 1935, and about 35 were built by 1938. In general, throughout its production run, small improvements were made to the individual tanks. Production tanks had turrets similar to the ones on the BT-5, but without the rear overhang. Some examples had flamethrowers instead of one of the 45mm guns. The final batch was a run of 6 T-35 model 1938, which had new turrets with sloped armor all around, as well as modified side skirts and a new idler wheel. Originally, the main turret was equipped with the 76.2mm gun KT OBR 1927-32, that's the short barrel, adapted from the regimental field gun 1927. By 1936, this weapon was being replaced by the KT-28 cannon, length of barrel 16.5 caliber, that would be the short cannon, I guess, which was also used for the T-28 medium tank. The mounting allowed for vertical training, aiming with upper and lower limits of -7 and +23 degrees. You guys don't want to need to know all that. There was something I wanted to share with you I thought was interesting, was the amount of ammunition that this thing carried. Yeah, here it is. The main and two small machine gun turrets of the T-35 and T-28 had a high level of standardization. Main weapon sighting utilized the telescopic breech sight TOP OBR 1930 and the periscope breech sight PT-1 1932. The 76.2mm cannon had 96 rounds. The 45mm guns had 226 rounds. And the Degtyaryov machine guns had 10,080 rounds apiece. The 50-ton tank was designed with the maximum thickness of the body's armor plates being 30mm and that of the turret 20mm. The armored plates were coupled together by welding and riveting, and in 1936 the thickness of the frontal sloping body plate had been increased to 50mm. 10mm on the turrets are the side armor covering the tracks. Brief combat history. The T-35 served with the 5th Separate Heavy Tank Brigade in Moscow, primarily for parade duties, from 1935 until 1940. In June 1940, the question was raised whether to withdraw the T-35s from frontline service, with the option to either convert them to heavy self-propelled artillery or to assign them to the various military academies. The choice was made to use them in combat instead, and the surviving vehicles were collected together into the 67th and 68th Tank Regiments of the 34th Tank Division, which served with the 8th Mechanized Corps in the Kiev Special Military District. During Operation Barbarossa, 90% of the T-35s lost by the 67 and 68th Regiments were lost not to enemy action, but through their mechanical failure or because they were abandoned and destroyed by their crews. The most common causes of breakdown were transmission related. The last recorded action of the T-35 took place during the early stages for the Battle of Moscow. At least one captured T-35 was shipped to Germany for evaluation at the Kermersdorf military proving ground. The T-35 is sometimes cited as having participated in the Winter War against Finland, but according to Soviet sources, it did not. In fact, 2 other prototypes of multi-turreted heavy tanks had been sent out to frontline for the testing. The T-100 and SMK tank was disabled by a Finnish landmine, and all attempts to recover the 55-ton behemoth failed. Finished photographs of the previously unknown tank were mistakenly designated T-35C by German intelligence. 4 T-35 machines were used in training facilities in the Soviet rear, of which one still exists in running condition. And this is accessible to visitors at the Kubinka Tank Museum near Moscow. And there are, by the way, guys, there are videos of that on YouTube. So I've spent way too much time talking about the background of the vehicle. I just thought it might be interesting because who knows anything about it. So we've got some pretty interesting box art on the front here. So this is a vehicle, what appears to be in garrison service, maybe the Kremlin in the background. Vincent Y. is the artist. Not familiar with him at all. Here is the copyright 2014 date showing the 3 photo etched frets that included with the kit. Not sure what this states in Chinese. We also have a nice another picture of the model here on the side of the box. What else do we have? On the other side, another brief history of the Soviet T-35 that appears to be almost verbatim of what's on Wikipedia. But enough of that. Let's open this beast up and let's take a look at the plastic. We have instruction sheet, painting and marking guides, and here we go. Here's the plastic. And there is, wow, a ton of plastic. So let me set this to the side. So we can take a look at that. This sprue is the machine gun turrets and the eyelets for the tow cable. There's not a ton of detail on these machine gun turrets, but they don't look bad at all. You can see the tow eyelets, tow chain eyelets. So these are the machine gun turrets. So that's the first 2 turrets in this vehicle. Next sprue is the side skirts. Now I want you to look to see how big these side skirts are. They have some really nice bolt slash rivet detail on these. You guys want to check that out? The camera doesn't want to focus. On camera, focus. I don't know why it won't focus. The PE here is to be an engine access hatch, perhaps of some type. More bolt and rivet detail. That's on the other side skirt. Now, look how long the side skirts are. Just for a comparison, here's the Panzer III that I'm working on in my Let's Build the Tank series. It's twice as long. That's yeah, that's impressive. So there's that sprue. That's the side skirts. How about a top hull? Would you like to see that? Boom, there it is. There's the top frickin' hull. Look at all those. Wow. It doesn't have a ton of detail on it. I'm not seeing any fine rivet marks. There's no ejector pin marks. There's some on the opposite side, but of course that's not going to be a problem because you're not going to see that. Not going to be a problem at all. I'll let you see the detail nonetheless. Really pretty well done. Next sprue. Fenders and a radio antenna. More turret parts. The fenders are a little thick, but they don't look bad. See that? Fenders are long. There's a radio aerial. It's going to go around probably one of the main turrets. It looks a lot like a BT-7 aerial. Various access hatches and stuff on the top. Detail's not bad so far, but I don't know if it's just because of the tank itself, but there doesn't appear to be a ton of, you know, rivet detail. There is some. This looks like drive housings. There is some really nice bolt detail on these drive housings. Really tiny parts here. Those are grab handles or a ladder. That's really finely done. That looks really good. Some toolboxes, various and sundry pieces. It looks like a cooling fan for an engine. So I don't know if this kit has got an engine or not. I'm not sure what this round piece is for. Alright, the next piece is we have the bottom hull tub. And it's freaking huge. Look at this. And that's easily 12 inches long, maybe 13 inches long. There is some really nice detail on the bottom, unfortunately, which you know, we're never going to get to see once the model's completed. Now inside this is a copper tow cable and some clear parts, presumably, yeah, for headlight lenses inside the tub. That's nice. And it is, woe is me, Lincoln length tracks, but they're big. And there's long runs of the straight links, and looking at them, there's on the back side there's no ejector pin marks to clean up. That's nice. Oh, that's because they did them all on the sides. Thank you, Hobby Boss. There's none on this side either, so there's really no cleanup involved. You just need to crisply cut them off the sprue and then assemble them. But it's Lincoln length. The detail's pretty good actually on those tracks. Let me share that with you. Good looking tracks. And this sprue is running gear, drive sprockets, T-35 machine guns, and some 45mm guns for the BT-5 turrets. Well, those drive sprockets are freaking huge. Look at that. That's one big drive sprocket. It's a really small, I mean, I've never seen styrene pieces that small before. It's a really good looking detail in this scale. There is the T-35 machine guns. Those are okay. I've seen better detailed DT machine guns. There's a ton of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. The gun barrels, the 45mm gun barrels, are at least slide mold one piece. That's nice, so you don't have to worry about removing a seam. Pioneering equipment there as well. Those seem to be pretty good in detailed department. Here's the rest of the running gear. So some of this includes the really bizarre looking suspension system. These springs look pretty good. So here is a boatload of road wheels, suspension springs, road wheels themselves. The suspension arms, look at these. Looks like something out of War of the World. Yeah, sorry about that, a little camera glitch. There is some bolt detail on these housings here. Very interesting kit, and it's massive. There's still yet another sprue, but it's continues more running gear. So there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 whole sprues consisting of the running gear and suspension. Wow, that's going to take a while to assemble. And here we have the primary turret. Check this out. There's the primary turret. That's going to house that 76.2 millimeter gun that was only 16.5 caliber. Here's the BT5 styled turrets without the overhang, as per Wikipedia. Nicely detailed with really crisp looking bolt and rivet detail on the side. Pretty interesting. This thing has a lot of turrets. Here is a protected, another radio antenna. I don't know why they did this. This one's protected. This is the bottom part to the main or primary turret. So there's 2 radio antenna, and one's protected and one's not. Not sure why they did that. That's interesting. It's almost like they did it an afterthought. There are 2 photo etch frets, and they look pretty nice. Straps that appear to be tops of fuel tanks. It's nice detail. They're very thin. I don't know if they're stiff or if they're pretty soft. But there's the first photo etch fret. Here's the second. These look like boxes maybe. Not sure about these. And there's bolt heads. I don't know if I'll actually do those. Gosh, I would go insane doing that. I might do them. Lots and lots and lots of little tiny bolt heads. That would pretty much make me go crazy, but I may do it, I may not. I'm a long ways from building this kit. Here's the top to the primary turret. And check it out. It's actually got a Russian star molded into the top of the turret. How cool is that? It even comes through from the other side. You can see that on the back. That's crazy. Decal sheet. Very simple. Very simple. Soviet markings only chosen. That's it to the decal sheet. I gotta put some of this back to make room for instructions. Here's the instruction sheet. A painting and marking guide. Of course, one color scheme, Russian green. Now, this is not going to be 4BO. It's going to be that other Russian color. There was a pre-war Russian color which is slightly lighter than this to be historical. So, because they had a different green before the war began, they changed the color in 1940. I think that would be the appropriate color. So there's your painting and marking options. There are only 2. It's printed on a nice glossy piece of paper on the front and back. Now I'm not going to do a complete examination of the instructions since the review is already running a bit long. I went too long on the description. I apologize for that. So, suspension and running gear. Oh, that's how those fit together. And nest inside each other. Very complete sprue map, although tiny. Thank you for doing that, Hobby Boss. Top hole and bottom hole are mated. Suspension continues. Quite a bit to this build. There's a ton of parts with this model. Track construction. Showing you how the link and link tracks go together. It's even calling out the number of pieces that you have to assemble per side. That's nice. Thank you for doing that, Hobby Boss. That is an engine XSS. Okay, so yeah, it's a engine cooling fan, but there's really no engine detail because there's no interior. To see turret construction here on this side. The instructions seem to be pretty straightforward. No complaints. And there's the primary turret. There's that crazy Russian star. The BT-5 style turrets. Turret casemates. Look at these. It's crazy. And then the completed model all the way to 16 steps. I don't think it'd be that crazy a build. It just depends on how insane the photo etch is. So, anyways, well guys, that's it. So that is the 1/35th scale Hobby Boss T-35. Just came out, and I looked. There are no other reviews on YouTube as of yet. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm not gonna lie to you, this kit was expensive. By the time I shipped it, I bought it from Sunlight Model Store off of eBay in China, and they're in mainland China. They're not in Hong Kong. And by the time it was shipped, it was about $70 US. So that means it's gonna be pretty pricey for most people. Won't lie to you, but it is a fun looking kit. You know, good news is it's going to be easy to paint in one color camo or color scheme, but it's going to take a while to assemble. But it's going to assemble into this massive. Remember this? Yeah, it's going to assemble in a massive model. But I think it should prove to be fun. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope everyone has a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.